Hey guys, it's Balky. What I have for you today is my CSG crack and resub results, and I wanted to prove to you everybody that CSG does indeed grade easier based on their old grading criteria and from their old last year's screen labels with subgrades. And I have roughly 40 to 50 cards that I cracked and resubmitted because I also wanted the new label too. So here are some of the results, and here is, roughly 40 slabs, 50 slabs that I cracked and sent it in through CSG, because for the $5 that it takes to reholder, why not just crack it for another $7 to resubmit if I think certain cards are worth it to get a grade bump. So what I have for you is I'm gonna start out with my Justin Herberts in this video, and I'm gonna post up, there's gonna be a picture up of the original card with the original CSG label, and just so you guys have reference of the card that I cracked. And I'm gonna put up the picture here, and as you can see, first up we're gonna start with the Justin Herbert base 325 Prizm. And obviously I always thought that CSG graded rough, and based on their new criteria they're going to be a lot looser, so instead of just getting it reholdered, why not just submit the whole thing? So obviously I saw that they were 9.5 centering and 9.5 corners. Surface, I don't know if it was anything, I wiped it off extra more, so this 9 got a 10 with the resub. I'm going to put up comp prices as much as I can when it comes to CSG, but I'll have PSA prices up and SGC, just so we can compare. I'm not saying that CSG grades are going to come in those prices, but it's just something so we can compare. All right, the next one. Okay, next one is I cracked a 7.5 base. Early on, this is one of those where I was just hoping to get an 8 or 9, but it came back a 7.5 because they just messed me up on corners, and I cracked it. And I just want to resubmit this because a 7.5 is just, you're not selling it, you're not getting, no one's gonna buy this. So it came out a CSG 8, and I'm telling you, the CSG 8 is miles better than the CSG 7.5. Nobody wants the 7.5, and this is what got us right here. Do you see that top corner ding right here on the left? It's that corner ding right there, and I was hoping they would be more lenient with it, and they were kind of from a 7.5 to an 8, but it was worth the $12 just to resubmit, just so I can get an 8. You sell it at the right time, it'll still be worth it for that resubmission. All right, next one is a very good candidate, because one thing when you have subgrades like this, it gives you a good gauge whether it's worth resubmitting, and it's worth you can calculate whether it's going to get a bump or not, because the 10 centering is going to be huge. And then if anything was the 8.5 corners on this, but I took a gamble, and for this one ended up regrading 9.5. So I went from a 9 to a 9.5 for this Herbert base, and it said it was at 8.5 corners, but I'm trying to see if it's any of these corners. I don't think so. It might be the back. Might be one. It's right here. This one has a soft corner right there, but it wasn't enough. I mean, if it didn't have that corner, it definitely would have been a 10. But because of that, the old CSG label 9, I just had to see if I can get a 9.5 bump, which is a lot better looking than just a regular CSG 9 back then with the old green label. So, once again, you can see that they are more lenient with their grading these days. All right, here's another 9 that I cracked. I'll post up a picture for you guys. And if you look at the sub grades here, it's 9, 9, 9, 5, and 9. So to me, if they graded that, then this might be a fringe upgrade candidate, like score wise. Like, it'll be hard for them to get a 9.5, in my opinion. There's what I was thinking when I was resubmitting this one in. And I'll be surprised if I get a 9.5, but worst case scenario, it stays a 9 and I just get it relabeled. And it came out a 10. This is because this one I didn't expect to get a 10, honestly, because the centering here is thinner. I mean, right to left. Obviously, the centering is a little off, but you know what? I'll take it. This is the risk that, you know, a 9 and a 10 is a huge difference in just submissions like this. Coming from a 9 to a 10 is definitely worth the risk of cracking it and just resubmitting it. So that this alone, like submissions like this, is why it's worth to give it a try, to, you know, just resubmit and see how the graders, you know, grade, you know, with the new criteria. So all right, so that's it with the Justin Herbert bases. Now we're going to go with the Justin Herbert lasers. Lasers were at the time were kind of hard to gauge. When I started out, I just looked at, you know, this the centering, but I didn't know, I was still kind of new to the laser print, that at the time, the reason why this got 6, look, 999, surface is a 5. The reason why surface is 5, so if you look closely, you see his handprint right here? There is a defect with the printing, that there's an outline of his whole body. There's an outline of his whole body. You see right here? You see, that's his hand. That's his elbow right here. All that is not centered. So that is a labeled defect right there. Yeah, there you have a better view of this whole, like, outlined body right here. Oh, sorry. Oh, that was scary. All right, so that was the outline labeled there of the body. So that cuts down, that cuts down big time. And a 6, I want to see if I can just get anything better than a 6 with this resub. I think a 6 was too rough, like it was too rough of a score, so got it resubmitted, and it was a 7, which is a lot better than a 6, considering the major print, the surface defect of the print line right there, with the whole body, his whole body outline. Oh, if you shine it right here, you might be able to see. All right. So it was worth it to get it from a 6 to a 7 right there. All right, here is a laser 7.5. Surface was 7 and the centering was 7. I think centering is more realistically like an 8 because of the bottom is really thin. But the surface, they knocked it down big time, because if you look closely, there's a print line right here. You see that? There's no hologram. There's like a big print line behind his head, which is black, like negative space. And I think you see it easier with the picture that I uploaded of the original scan. You see it brightly there. So resubbed, and this got an 8. And like I said, any grades with a half grade that's not 9.5 is basically like a kiss of death. No one ever buys, you know, 0.5 grades. Even 8.5s are just gross. But that getting an even 8, you know, is definitely worth it there. All right, we're moving on to this laser 9. All right, moving on to this laser 9, got an 8.5. So this is one of those, I'm just gambling on the centering being huge, and then you said corners are weak, but you know, let's see. This 9 came out at 10. I thought there was a good chance this would become 10, because you said corners are weak, but there's this corner right here. Might be the only one that's a little sus, but other than that, it's a beautiful card that I think was severely undergraded. I thought it was like for sure a 9.5, but the fact that I got a 10 is, you know, definitely worth the price of submission. So now, you know, got another 10 in the collection. All right, let's speed this up. Okay, if you look at this, I submitted it. If you just base it on the subgrades alone, you know, just throwing up a picture of the old one. If you just base it on the old subgrades alone, you know, I'm not expecting this to go higher than a 9.5 if I do get a bump, but realistically I can see this being a 9. So this is what came out of 9. Yeah, if you base it on the subgrades, it definitely was a 9 based on their, you know, subgrades here. I didn't expect this to get like a major bump, but worst case, I'd still got it reholdered. And you know, these subgrades look kind of ugly, like, you know, there's no even 9.5s. So I thought it was just important to just, you know, get it reholdered, and if I happen to get a 9.5 bump, then it would be worth it. But just getting a reholder was the black label was nice. And then I have another one here. I don't know where I'd put the original label, like, because there were so many of them. I probably like it fell on the floor. But this one was what the original score is, and this one came out a 9. Beautiful card, one of my favorite. I have a bunch of lasers. Open up a bunch of blasters last year. All right, now to, you know, just a couple more left, and here comes select. And the select is so hard to gauge. You know, when it came back at 9 right here, back then a 9.5 was like a 10, was a gem mint 10. So my thought was, if I had one more grade upgrade, it would have been a gem mint 9.5, which means that it was basically a half grade from a 10 automatic, like, anyway, if it was based off the old last year's criteria. Because if it had one more 9.5, it would have been a green label 9.5, which is a new 10. So this is resubmitted. This is one of those where I'm for sure this is gonna get an upgrade, and it did. It went from a 9 to a 9.5. I actually kind of was hoping it would be a 10, but you know, 9.5 is still worth it, even though 9.5s are kind of hard to sell in the market these days. I don't have the label for this one, but I'm gonna throw up the picture of what the old red 9 is. I think this one's also a 9, and this is what the resub is. You got a 9.5. So, you know, obviously a 9, a green label 9, or a, you know, new label 9.5. I go with a new label 9.5 every time. And the last one for this video would be purple die cut field level Justin Herbert. One is just like the first scenario. It had 9.5, 9.5 here, and I don't know how they gauge centering on a die cut like this. You know, I feel like it's hit or miss. But if it just had another bump, if one of these bumped up, it would have definitely been a 9.5 gem mint, which I thought this crack and resub could definitely be a 10 candidate, and based on, you know, it was a 10. And if you look at the subgrades, you can tell that this is definitely a fringe, you know, 10, that very strong card. And that's why it was important that, even though they don't do subgrades anymore, that you can use your subgrades to gauge whether it's worth resubmitting. And this is just my first set of resubs to prove that CSG is easier on grading. And I hope you guys liked the video. I have a bunch more of resubmits and recracked and regrades for football. Next one's gonna be Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert cards more, and I'm also gonna have some basketball and and some wrestling cards that I cracked and resubbed. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. All right, thank you very much. See you guys.